What's up, everybody? I am at the San Jose Police Department just a few minutes before noon. I want to make sure my mic is coming through. I will tell you that I just spent a lot of time making sure that I could get moderators in this live stream. And I also spent a lot of time trying to get my horizontal feed going, and it wasn't very successful. So I'm going to wait and see if people are going to come in. I am outside the San Jose Police Department, and we might have some filtering problems. So when you come in, if you want to let me know that you're in the chat, and also, hey, Tristan Miller, can you hear me okay? Leslie, I love that you're in. Leslie, I'm going to try to make you a moderator. If people start talking about Karen and Hamburger Helper, I'm going to try to, yep, I did it. Okay, Leslie, you are now a moderator in here. If John Denicola and Johnny Bravo come in, I'm going to make them moderators too. You guys know my rules here. My rules are no personal attacks. We're reporting on the government, and I'm going to give you a little education on some police records and some other things. So I'm down at the San Jose Police Department. I'm going to just give you a little bit of the landscape here. When you see mainstream news reporters come down and report on things related to the police, they will often stand right here at this fence. And so you'll see that in a lot of reporting that's happened over the years with the police department. And I'm going to take you around. We're going to go inside. I'm inside right now. There's somebody filing a false police report, and there's also two people trying to get police records where they believe a false police report was made against them. So yes, and please, Birdie P, thank you. If you guys will hit the like on the way in, I want to know how many people are watching, and we're going to do a little educating on getting your police records, filing false police reports, and what you can do about it, and how it relates to family court. So I get a lot of calls about people involved in a family court child custody case or a DV case in family court, and police reports are at issue. So we've been going around to all these police departments and talking about these issues. And I want to talk about this memorial that is outside of the San Jose Police Department, because there's one police officer that you won't see in this report, in this memorial. These are the memorials that police departments often put up when a police officer has been lost in the line of duty, and they call it end of watch. And so if you look down here, they have plaques for people, someone's end of watch in 1933, 1950, 1970, 1985, 2 in 85, 1 in 88, 1 in 89, 1 in 89, 99, 2001, then 1 in 2015, and end of watch 2016. That's the most recent, 2016. And there's really not a lot of effort to kind of keep this up with fresh flowers. There's some kind of green algae water there. Puppy's here with me doing this. And what I wanted to talk about are the police officers who are not on this memorial. And one of them happened to be a personal friend of mine. And his wife was asking for a divorce, and they were having some financial problems, and they lived down in Gilroy. And thank you very much, Lugger Lau. I appreciate that very, very much. So this police officer lived down in Gilroy. We were friends with him. We knew him for a long time. Our children were friends. And he started having financial troubles. He had bought one of the newer homes in Gilroy, and they were having financial troubles. And then they were also having marital problems. And he asked, and around the time of that going on, the wife started to complain that the husband, who was a police officer, had been GPSing her car and doing some other things that he was able to do because he was a police officer and he knew how to do that. And I just did a video recently about a San Diego police officer who was convicted of domestic violence in a family court case, and they're taking her weapon away from her. And too often, we have police departments that are hiring police officers who have anger issues towards their intimate spouse. And when they do have those outbursts, we often don't know about it, but we might know about it from a family court file. And I talked to a police chief in another area, another state, and he told me they never check divorce files when they're hiring police officers. So one of the most telltale signs about somebody's character is how they treat their spouse and intimate partners, dating partners, or people that they have children with. And so one of the things that we see on a regular basis is we see these police officers being hired with no formal education. They get some training, but there's really no vetting of anger management issues, of kind of abusive conduct, of behavior which we are used to calling coercive control. And if that's going on in the secrecy of their home, and I do get a lot of complaints from police officers' spouses and ex-spouses, and they feel like there is no way for them to report. There's no way that they're not going to be believed and they're not listened to. So if we're not listening to those individuals when we're hiring police officers, we're hiring police officers that are a problem. And so in that case that the San Diego police officer made the news and there was an investigative reporter covering it, they covered the family court case and they covered what the judge said. And this woman, who is a female police officer, was doing things or reportedly doing things that we have seen male police officers doing for a long time. So I want to bring up that this is not gender-based. And anytime I hear people going to that it is gender-based, I'm going to point you right back to the behavior, because we want to see that, is Johnny Bravo in here? I'm looking at the comments. Okay, there you go. I've made, Johnny, you're now a moderator, so if you could keep the comments, the little trolls off. I am at the San Jose Police Department. We have 166 people watching. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the history of this department while I'm waiting to go in and record some people who are requesting records and also filing police reports. So we already talked about that this is the location where mainstream media will often shoot their B-reel for the nightly news when they're reporting on crime in the area and police activity. This is where they will typically stand. They don't usually go beyond and show you the things about the department or discuss the department's history. So the department's history in this area is that there was a very famous police chief known as Chief McNamara. And Chief McNamara was kind of a celebrity police chief at a time where there was a lot of media coverage for him that was kind of favorable, and that perhaps started the whole issue of how police propaganda about keeping people safe and doing their job and that our law enforcement was working as we all expected. McNamara was part of that era. And McNamara was the police chief who was the police chief involved when the Bar Bench Media Police Committee formed here. And that's something that I've reported on for a long time. That was where certain police chiefs, including San Jose, Sunnyvale, Los Gatos, Mountain View, and Palo Alto, and Los Altos, those 5 very wealthy areas of Silicon Valley, met with judges, 2 family court judges in particular. It started off with Judge Carol Overton, and then it moved to Judge Towery and Judge Lori Pegg. And then they invited certain members of the media. And when they invited the members of the media, they agreed to keep all their conversations off record. And they also invited prosecutors, public defenders, and other individuals to these meetings. And they had them every month, and they would talk off record. And they used public resources, and they talked about issues of public importance. But they scripted the narrative. So they scripted the narrative about public safety, about police officer safety, about kind of silencing people who are reporting domestic abuse. And so what we report on a lot is how people deal with domestic abuse in family courts, because we find more often than not that the people who are really the victims are the individuals who are getting slapped with these restraining orders and stripped of custody of their children. And so those are the issues that we're going to be talking about, because it usually starts with a bad police officer call. And if a police officer is abusive to their own spouse, and you go in and try to make a report about these issues, and you try to get help and protection, and the person you're reporting to is abusive to their own spouse, it's probably not going to go very well for you. And judges, attorneys, and police officers are known for being a little on the spectrum of narcissism, and they are very versed at coercive control because they have to do it as part of their job. And so those lines can get blurred. And so I'm reporting on these issues because I want you all to understand how law enforcement is really working these days, because it's not as we were always told by groups like that Police Chief McNamara was involved in. And I want you all to be able to know how to get public records from police departments, about how these police departments are funded and how they operate. But I also want you to be able to get your own body cams and your own police reports. And so that's what we're in here doing today. We're recording what police departments are complying with Public Records Acts. We talked about in my last live stream how the Los Gatos police, when we went in and recorded our public records request, they considered it a threat. And so when police officers consider it a threat because somebody, a journalist, is doing their job and recording it, it's a little bit of a problem. I don't know who's talking about Jehovah's Witnesses, but if our moderators could kick that person out, I'd really appreciate that. Leslie and Johnny, are you both able to moderate on some of those comments? Like, I don't need the one that Jay Wells just made. We can get rid of those kind of comments. Let's keep it to what's going on in policing, the family courts, and getting records. That's what this live stream is about. And Angry Vet, since you're in here, I want to give a real shout out. You, at my last live stream, gave a membership donation to a number of individuals, and I really, really appreciate it. And you did it for the research, for our research, and 90% of our work is research. And so after you did that, it inspired two people to come down to this police department and work with me on getting some of their old records related to their family court cases. So I just want you guys all to know that when you give me comments, when you give me support, when you move these videos around, when you understand what we're trying to report on and talk about, because you won't hear it from mainstream media when they stand here and do their nightly news crew. But all of you are making a difference, because you are my new newsroom. You guys are the people who give me the ideas, who question when I say something or I misspeak so that I can correct it. When I'm not being clear, you guys help me, and you also give me ideas for what to request in the way of records. So what I'm trying to show you is that it doesn't work the way that we've all been told, the way we see on mainstream news. And sometimes what we don't see is the most important of what we do need to see. And I just wanted to let you know that in addition to doing my job as a journalist, I have spent a great deal of time trying to talk to the San Jose Police Department about how it is that an officer— I'm going to move because there's some children running around here right now and I'm not going to film them. How it is that the police department didn't do anything about one of their own who unlived himself and his wife because he was having financial troubles, and he was involved, or soon to be involved, in a divorce. And divorce can be a very triggering event for all of us. And that means police officers, lawyers, judges, anybody who is having a breakup of their most fundamental relationship. is going to be emotionally and financially impacted by that. And so when police officers are involved in a divorce or a troubled marriage, we need to watch that, because those police officers might be biased when they're writing police reports. They might have mental health impairment problems that prevent them from doing their job fairly, and they are carrying weapons and can be a real problem to public safety. So we're going to continue to address how communities are addressing these issues that we don't see in the mainstream news, and how that might affect your police reports and your legal outcomes. So, and for those of you who go through the court system with a public defender or an attorney who is overpaid and incompetent, and there are a lot of divorce attorneys that do that, you might not get the justice that you're entitled to because you can't afford it. And that's just the bottom line. But if we educate you and give you the tools so that you can get police reports or file police reports properly and insist that they're taken properly, that might make a difference for everybody. So I'm going to go in and we're going to be recording that, and I'm going to kind of stay away from showing you the individuals who are doing it. They're brave to come down here with me, because anytime anybody comes to a police department with me, it's always a good watch for the local police officers. And we're going to rate how the police officers here in San Jose today take the reports and how they do with getting not only public records, but also police reports and body cams for everybody. So everybody, please pay attention to what the police departments in your community are doing. Not what they're saying they're doing, but what they're actually doing. Are people able to get their police reports? Are the police reports well written, or should we just have AI come out with a body cam and a drone and write the police reports for us? Because we're getting to that point where the quality of police reports can determine your legal outcomes, and the police officers who are witnesses in your case can also determine the outcomes. And if you aren't aware of the underlying mental health issues or intimate partner issues those police officers have, it might affect you in more ways than you know. So I'm going to go back through and see if anybody has any comments. The angry vet, Leslie, is your hero. I'm glad she's your hero because I just made her a moderator here. I want to say about Leslie, for those of you who don't know, Leslie is in my age demographic. She's not in California. She lives in another place. And Leslie has been in my live streams and supportive on my videos since 2019. She's always encouraging. She's always positive. She understands the complex issues that we're having. And Leslie, I just want to give you a shout out. And Johnny Bravo, I appreciate you. And I made you a moderator today. You know, my only criticism of all you guys is always going to be language. And I really, really try to show you by example that we can get records, that we can get information, that we can make police officers do their job. And using certain language shows us how police officers are going to respond. And there is value in individuals that challenge police officers with language that I don't use here. And we hear police officers use that language as well. And so police officers who drop F-bombs and cuss at people who they're detaining or arresting or even just interacting with, when they do that, they're showing disrespect, and it's hypocritical of them to demand respect back when they don't give it to the people that they're serving, that are paying their salary. So while that's not my style, I always appreciate that all of you guys know how to speak in a way that is more realistic, how police officers speak themselves. And really, you know, Chili DeCastro is a very controversial figure in this community. And he probably crossed some lines in some of the things that he did, but he wasn't wrong in the sense of trying to say, look, police officers have to have training to be able to not react when someone is cussing at them. They have to be able to treat that person with the same dignity and respect as somebody who walks in with a high-priced lawyer in a suit. So My philosophy is a little bit different. I'm a 61-year-old grandmother. I bring my dog with me to police departments when I'm doing these live streams and records requests. And today I'm with some people that have a baby in a baby carriage. And if the police can't be respectful and do their job with people like us, then when somebody comes in that doesn't look like us or that is cussing at them, they're certainly not going to do their job. So everything everyone is doing in this community is important. When you're watching these live streams, when you're learning things, when you ask me questions or clarify something I didn't explain well, that's really the intent of this platform. And these live streams are really my way of speaking just directly to you and kind of explaining some of the work that I'm doing. And also to give a shout out to people like Leslie and the Angry Vet, Johnny Bravo, Johnny Denicola. By the way, is Johnny Denicola in here? I don't know if he is. But you guys have really taught me so much in addition to me being able to do my job. And you appreciate how I do my job, because what I do is I show you my news gathering activity. This is what real reporters are supposed to do. And I'm not talking about somebody who just rants on social media about, things aren't right, things aren't just, or things are corrupt. We try to show you, because this is a reflection of all of our communities. And we get records, we get information, and then what I do as an activist, in addition to my journalism, is I make public comment at local meetings, and I talk about my work. I talk about what I'm finding in police reports. There is a public record of that. That doesn't get as many views as these live streams or as the videos do, but those are the things that I can do to expand the reach of this platform, and I appreciate all of you helping me do that as well. So we're coming up, I don't know if you've noticed, but on my channel, we're almost at 69,000 subscribers. And I just want to remind you that when I started this channel in 2019, really started paying attention to it, I had 68 subscribers. In San Joaquin Valley, Transparency boosted one of my videos and started getting me some subscribers, and you guys all took over after that. And I hear from you all the time in the comments that you've been with me since 2019 when I first met the cop watchers in Sacramento. And so for all of you who have been here that long, I really appreciate you. And I always love hearing that you've been here this long and you've watched how we report, how we figured these things out, because we didn't know when we started. So for all of you who are giving little shout outs, I appreciate it. I bet the moderators are doing a good job in here, because I'm not seeing about Hamburger Helper and Karen comments and things that are distracting. So Leslie, hopefully you'll be here every time I do a live stream and I can make you a moderator, because you and the Johnnies are doing a great job today. So I still couldn't get this in the horizontal position. So thank you for those of you who bear with me while I'm still standing vertically. And that was a little tour of the police department, and we'll be going into a video a little bit later this week about the San Jose Police Department. But I did give you some history on why I have a personal, I'm personally interested in making sure this police department does their job at looking at police officers, not that just have an end of watch, but that in their own watch and the watch of their intimate partners and their wives, because what those police officers are doing on their job should be of interest to all of us. So we're going to keep talking about these family court cases and how it relates to police departments in the next couple of weeks. Thanks everybody for coming in.